Hey now, I'm only a little bit late, you know, so don't you worry about that at all, huh? Welcome back to the stream, everybody. Hope we're all having a fantastic Friday, or whatever day it is for you right now. And yeah, we are back. Time for more of The Devil. Been having a great time with this visual novel, and it is hyping the fuck up. And since I am a little itty bitty a bit late, let's just try to get into this real quickly. At least quickly in terms of, you know, just turning the fucking game on. What did I miss last time? Weren't you around pretty late? I believe you may have only missed us talking to the board and, Helen Zhong. But yeah, we talked all the corporate megs, you know, quote-unquote talked, where Morgan walked up to them and was like, yeah, I am also a psychopath like all of you. I know how you think. Okay, it is capturing. Yeah, for those of you who haven't been around for a while, or recently, so we went to the trial. Turned out that there was evidence to suggest that Sarah killed David. So we've put Sarah on ice, and we're trying to prove that somebody other than Sarah had to have killed David. Because for some reason, Morgan was feeling sentimental about protecting Sarah. So then we went to David's safe house and found a journal that only we could unlock, that only Morgan could unlock. And in that journal, David basically says that he created like hundreds of AI while iterating upon each of them until he created Sarah. And he doesn't even consider Sarah to really be an AI or like a computer. He doesn't even know what she is, and he even said it that it was more like Sarah was born than created. So, if we wanted to defend ourselves based upon the idea that Sarah is not an AI, it's a losing battle. Because all evidence suggests that she is some sort of complex machine that is not a normal automated dependent at all. In any capacity whatsoever. So we have to defend her based upon the idea that somebody else had to have killed David. And so after finding David's journal and all that information, we went back to Noble headquarters and we talked to Zhong and the board, where Morgan basically said to them, you know, you can work with me, or you can work against me, and nobody wins. And they may or may not have taken that to light. So we don't really know what we're going to be doing after that now. After that. We might still be in the middle of talking to them, actually. My microphone on? Yeah, it is. Okay. I'm going into this trial, my trial, with a lot less ammunition than I'd like. I'm beginning to form a picture of what actually happened, maybe even circling the drain on a suspect. But Emma won't be generous enough to give me breathing room. She'll want to end this fast. Maybe if I do badly enough, it'll flip her sadistic switch and she'll want to keep playing. It's our aunt. So you got charged with owning an AI. First time you do something exciting in your whole life. And I gotta find out, through the fucking grapevine. My life is plenty exciting. Freckles. You could bore the polish off a resume-checking robot. I have fucked Catholic school teachers with more active night lives than you. Oh my god. Okay. So who'd you rope in? Anyone I know? Oh shit. Are you representing yourself? Fits within my budget? Screw your budget, you're going to jail. Thanks for the vote of confidence. It ain't a matter of how good a lawyer you are. Anyone who represents themselves in court has a fool for counsel. You represented yourself countless times. Not for anything I had a chance of losing. Your pal hasn't even been dead 48 hours. You're too close to this. You'll make mistakes. Look at your lawyer, dog. You're going to prison. The powers that be really don't want to give me a rain check. They're taking this very seriously. It's more dangerous than that. They're scared. Is there precedent to committing murder? How do you pass law school without learning how to look this stuff up? I know what the net says. I'm asking you. The answer to that is not helpful to you at the moment. Thanks, Aunt. We really appreciate that. So what words of advice do you have? Get yourself a new lawyer. Gonna close this chat now. What if we call her? What if we call her and we have her come and defend us? That'd be so funny. Don't lose, Freckles. You don't need to tell me that. Hey. What are you reading, Adonai? I was reading David's employment contract with Noble Electronics before I got waylaid by spam texts. The one we found inside the panic room? It looks quite extensive. Should I skim it for you? Depends. Did you pass the bar exam since we last spoke? You know, Sarah ain't allowed to do fucking anything right now because she is suspected as being a dangerous piece of equipment. You comfortable? I am not. Ever seen that old movie with the gorilla and the skyscraper? They bring it to the city and... I understand the analogy, Adonai. I wish I could call it overkill, but considering the specs Sarah put up yesterday, maybe these bindings aren't heavy enough. Come to think of it, those numbers must have been faked along with the rest of what the machine read. If that was all a smokescreen David added to help her lay low, then her actual strength is more like... What, is Sarah gonna be a fucking Super Saiyan? Is this gonna be, like, invincible? Is she gonna, like, flick somebody's nose and their head explodes? Like, what do you mean? Her gorilla grip with her hands, like, was already crazy enough. But now Morgan is suspecting she's even stronger than, like, a military grade? That's crazy. Are you sure? How you doing, Tara? Well, I mean, I know, but, you know. Chat doesn't necessarily know. If your joints weren't currently locked up tighter than a vice, do you think you could escape this place? I hope that question is not indicative of your strategy. This is me trying to distract you, Sarah. Enjoy the hypothetical. I would estimate that the building's automated security would put 9 holes in me before I reach that door. 9's not so bad. I would not be able to function after the 7th. Ah. Well, if you haven't been planning some great escape, I would not do that. That would be illegal. And you would still be on trial. I remember. So what have you been doing all day, then? I am attempting to recover memories from Friday. You can do that? It is not dissimilar from the process of recovering data erased from any other computer. Despite the difference in scale, I won't be able to remember everything, but if successful, I can recall individual pieces of information that could prove useful. You know what's interesting about this is that because Sarah is a computer, until it is proven that she is an AI or is the murderer, evidence based upon her memories is completely legitimate. It's kind of paradoxical, because if Sarah is proven to be the murderer, that means any evidence Sarah ever gave for anything is all a wash, and you can never trust that again because it's all corrupted data from an AI. But so long, which is like a bit of a which is like a paradox, because if we do prove she's AI, or if we prove she didn't kill anybody, then she wouldn't be an AI legally, which would then mean that all of the proof that exonerated her from her own memories is considered legitimate, but only if we prove her to be not a murderer. Fucking Christ, this is why giving toasters sentience is gonna be a big fucking deal. That's a lot of coulds. And even if you're successful, you may not like what you find. Whatever happened that day, either you or David wanted you to forget it. Yes. But even so, I have to remember, because it's the last day that Father and I... Any luck so far, then? I can recall a slightly musty scent. Wow! Case closed! What about you, Adonai? Have you formulated a plan for the trial's proceedings? Something like that. Jung insists that serotonin isn't what killed David. Interesting. If serotonin was the thing that killed David, then not only would they scrap Sarah, but it would probably completely fuck up the whole android industry, because all of the warm androids and also a lot of modders use serotonin for all the connections between their flesh and their mechanics. So, like, if serotonin is the thing that killed David, hard none, and it was used by an AI to kill David, hard none, well then, suddenly that's gonna cause a gigantic panic that freaks everyone out. I don't buy it. There's no other explanation for how he died. So she is lying? And if she repeats that lie on stand, I'll need to expose it. Somehow. Somehow. Would she really commit perjury to protect Noble, to protect one of Noble's patents? She doesn't strike me as quite the corporate zealot she makes herself out to be. But you believe that she had something to do with Father's death? What do you think? I don't know. I don't know why anyone would kill Father. Considering the possible consequences of what he confessed to in his journal, I can think of, but then again, I don't understand why anyone would kill anyone. Yeah, that's a thing Morgan is gonna be sitting here like, uh-oh. Maybe I was wrong to empathize with this android? Do you? Oh, fuck. Bells tolling for thee means that the doors of the courtroom are unlocked. Let's... Wait, can you walk like that? Waddle will have to do. Wait a second, across the hall. That's... Oh! Porter is here. Keep waddling, Sarah. I'll catch up. Remember, Porter fucking despises automated dependence. And I would assume that his opinion of artificial intelligence is even worse. And to top it all off, it's looking like an artificial intelligence killed his ex-boyfriend. So this guy is gonna really put up a gigantic fucking fight against us, is my assumption. During his own testimony. He's gonna put up a massive fight. I mean, yeah. were you not here when we met this guy? Yeah, this guy. So it turns out that David Asher was the ultimate Giga Chad femboy bisexual man, because like not only did like men like this guy hit on him and try to date him, but women also did as well. And apparently David was totally into that lifestyle of just fucking everyone until one day he got SA'd, and then he went to Morgan to ask for help after he got SA'd. And then he became much more reclusive in his work and a lot less receptive to relationships after that. which is why him and Porter's relationship couldn't end up working. This'll be a coin toss. You that surprised to see me? I'm not surprised you'd want to see the outcome of this trial. Is Porter also a degenerate? I mean, what do you mean? But he might be a little bit. There was no indication in any of his testimony that he was a cheater or anything. But what he is that he's a musician. So like he hates all the AI and all the automated dependents. He hates all of them because, for obvious, you probably can empathize with him very easily, Tara, because he's an artist who has to compete against fucking fake bullshit that people make with using automated dependents and stuff, so. I am surprised you'd want to talk to me. I want Sarah to do the bass line from Blade Runner 2049. I'm not gonna lie, I don't actually know what the score of the Blade Runner movies is like. I'm sure it's great, but I just haven't really heard it. Cock and ball, interlinked. What? You're defending the android, right? Be honest, be clever. No, I like Morgan not being a bitch most of the time. Not baseline, the baseline test. Okay. Yeah, I'm defending Sarah's innocence. I don't think she killed David. Do you? I don't think it matters. Noble is what killed David. Whether it was the pen stroke or a sleeper agent killer android or plain old goddamn arsenic, how could anyone that smart be that dumb? Why the hell did he ever sign his soul over to them? David may have been in over his head, but he wasn't a bad negotiator. I've read his contract. His position was strong. You're the lawyer. But a guy like me, working in music? Can't tell you how many people I've seen screwed over by a big smile and a fat signing bonus. No such thing as corporate generosity. If you think you're getting a good deal, it's only because you don't know how much you just sold. How much you just sold? David's real wealth lay in his intellectual property, the potential energy of it hanging over the whole industry. God, why do I always run out of a drink so quickly? If he sued even 1% of the companies taking inspiration from his Turing solution, there's a clause in his contract. If Noble ever did fire David, he would have retained control over all his patents afterwards. Yeah, see, that sounds nice. Only they never did fire him, did they? He just happened to die. An unforeseeable act of God. In contract law, they call that forceful majeure. Force majeure. What if I had pronounced that fork major? How angry would that have made people? All right. So it's it's 3:30 p.m. July 2nd in the afternoon. All right, back in court, and if we lose, we go to prison forever. I said, did you find anything interesting in the contract, Adonai? A few things, yeah. Basically, David was well taken care of so long as they kept him around. And he'd retained control of his patents even after being let go. But what Porter said, logically, if David were to pass while still employed, Noble would continue to control the bulk of his IP. This is sounding more and more like he was assassinated in some fashion, if they had something to gain from him dying rather than anything else. But now that he was assassinated by supposedly an android, that also threatens Noble a lot. So Noble has a lot to win and lose depending upon who wins or loses this trial. I would assume, though, that whatever patents were used to make the A16 androids, though, would be useless patents because everybody would associate those patents with AI that killed somebody. So I don't think that would be... So that part wouldn't be beneficial to Noble at all. So if they knew David was going to leave in a year, it would be very foolish of them to let Father go. Well, they wouldn't do it for no reason. With this contract, he could only be fired for serious offenses. Corporate maleficence, revealing trade secrets, fraud. Father was not a fraud. He was, as they say, the greatest of all time! He was the throat goat for multiple different genders. Binder containing the full text of David Asher's employment contract with Noble. David would keep ownership of his patents if terminated. David couldn't be terminated without serious cause. Serious causes include fraud or worse. Fraud defined as manipulating company data. Fraud just means lying to the company about something, Sarah. Oh. Eyes up. Showtime. Hey, Barrows. It is literally only the next day, because that's how fast they want to get this over with so that people don't freak out in the public. Counselor Morgan, the state charges you with possession of contraband. Contraband? That'd be you. In violation of the Safeguarding Our National Digital Security Act. Sondsa. S-O-N-D-S-A. Sondsa. What a fucking ridiculous acronym. How do you plead? Not guilty. Very well. Since it seems that we are, in fact, doing this, I'll now turn over the administration of this trial to the adjutant. Oh, okay. This is really serious, Judge Barrows. You really want the adjutant to be fucking solving this primarily? Okay. But be warned, if any attempts at stalling or muddling the issue, and I'll step right in and override the trial myself. Summary judgment, siding with the people. Are we understood? Yes, Your Honor. Are we going to have the same adjutant as we had before? No way. Each courthouse only has so many bodies, but the personalities swap around all the time. So the chances of us dealing with the same glitchy mess as yesterday are... Glad to be back. Did y'all miss me? Forget I said anything. I'll just go crawl under a rock and die while you make your opening statements. Ahem. The defendant is the owner of the android registered under the model name Sarah with license number 120292880. She hasn't contested this, and I doubt she will. So the question of ownership is already answered. All that remains to determine is whether Sarah qualifies as contraband. It's a charming android, incredibly well made, a masterpiece, and the last known work of a great man. But when we look at the evidence and the facts surrounding the death of Dr. Asher, we're forced to conclude that said android is responsible for his death. And that conclusion carries very serious implications. I will prove here in court today that the machine standing there killed David Asher. Not through an accident or a mismanaged dosage, but through an intentional poisoning. I won't ask the court to judge this machine on its apparent sentience, its range of emotions, or the free will it may or may not possess. I only ask that the court judge this creation on what we will prove it to be more than capable of. Patricide. That's a very humanizing thing to say, but it's in Emma's favor for to make the android seem human-like without crossing too many boundaries of making it human-like sounding, so that people are scared of it and want it to be done away with. Woof! Wouldn't want to have to follow that act. But go for it anyway, defense. Your Honor, what the DA said is true. What did you just say? Did she just admit it? Sorry, just the first part. This android is charming, and it is the work of a great man. The rest of it was pure speculation based on little more than a few bad camera angles and a phobia of anything new. Murmuring, muttering. I do own the android you see here. It was bequeathed to me by a man known to most of the people in this courtroom as the father of modern machine intelligence. To me, he was just my friend. And if I thought at any point that this puppet had anything to do with his death, I would have dragged it to the chopping block myself. But I don't believe that. I never have. Sarah is an android, nothing more. It isn't capable of homicide, and it didn't even commit manslaughter. It's just a well-made machine. Any fears one has about its capabilities are projections, nothing more. And it troubles me greatly that the state is spending valuable time and resources on rushing to pulverize Dr. Asher's last known work, when it could be going after a very real, very human forces that were responsible for his death. Is she serious? Is she talking about Noble? The people can't prove that Sarah is an AI. And truth be told, I can't prove that it isn't. But I can prove that it's not guilty. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. Chills. You sounded very confident, Adonai. Yeah, well, no one ever got good at lying by being modest. You could have simply said thank you. Thank you for your presence here today, Detective London. In light of the new evidence, I'd like to go over the death of Dr. Asher one more time. What happened Friday night? At 6:30 p.m., David Asher spoke on the phone with his lover, and the two of them broke things off. Lover? It's an accurate description of their relationship, isn't it? I wouldn't know. That stuff's private. Adonai? You know what's interesting is that Morgan is actually very... She's kind of, like, very prudish. Like, very anti-fucking. Like, that's why she's annoyed by her aunt constantly swearing and talking about banging people. Then the deceased met with Noble VP Helen Zhang in his parlor starting around 7:30 p.m. He then left the parlor and the sight lines of his home security system before reappearing on his private secondary security system in his basement moments later, at which point the android Sarah can be seen handing him the poison he'd go on to drink. And do you see that android in the courtroom? Yeah, she's the green-haired one that's frowning at me. Let the record show that the android Sarah has been identified at the scene of the crime. No objections. Morgan the trad wife. Me saying that made me like her less? Good. Maybe you understand that she's actually mine because I'm the player who's playing as her. None? Then why did I even show up? Detective London, what happened next? Asher went upstairs and shared a drink with Miss Jean. Within a few minutes, he was being airlifted to the hospital, where he was soon declared dead. We know that the poison could be produced by his nanofactorer, which Sarah had access to just up the stairs in his workshop. So Sarah had ample opportunity to procure the poison, and Sarah handled Dr. Asher's cup immediately before he did. Is there a question in that statement, Your Honor? I'll rephrase. Was anyone else seen handling Dr. Asher's cup before he died? No. I have no further questions. Zheng killed him? Man, I'm gonna be disappointed if Zheng actually killed him because they seemed like they were close. Then again, when David was sexually assaulted, the first person he went to was Morgan. Like, he specifically went to Morgan to feel safe. Which isn't me thinking that Morgan killed him, but maybe Zheng wasn't as close with him as we liked it, as I'm thinking. So that's your witness, counselor? He wasn't lying per se, but there was some ambiguity in the statement he gave. Truth's gotta come out one way or another. If Emma won't push, I'll have to pull. Talk screen, basement footage, whiskey. 6:30, Dave, Asher, and Isaac Porter broke up over the phone. Then at 7:30 p.m., Helen Zhang arrived. They spoke briefly, and then he went downstairs to get drinks for them. Yep. Cameras in the basement show Sarah handing him the cups and the whiskey. No, she handed him only the cup. So after he came back to the parlor and started drinking. It wasn't long until he lost consciousness and died. Drinking poisoned whiskey while he thought he was having a toast. Don't know if that's a good way or a bad way to go out. Heard a slight slip up in there. I'm gonna save scum, guys. I'm sorry, but that's what I'm gonna do. I could go nowhere, but at that stage, I need to pick at every loose thread I can. I believe she only handed him the... Is that the correct one? Hey! Okay. Check that footage again, Detective London. We only see Sarah handing the victim a cup. He had already retrieved the whiskey himself. Oh, yeah. Forgot about that. Detective London just wasn't being specific enough, Your Honor. But it matters little since it was David's cup, not the whiskey bottle that was poisoned. Weird flex, but okay. And that undeniable fact is shown clearly in the security footage. Sarah hands him a cup after he was ready to leave. True, she did call David back and handed him a cup of poison. Interesting. I kind of want to raise. Because we didn't see Sarah put the poison in the cup. Justice. Blind. 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 I'm gonna raise. If the cup was already poisoned, don't you think David would have noticed it wasn't empty? Well, not necessarily. The lethal dose could have been quite small. If it were just a droplet, he could have easily overlooked it. For Sarah, this crime was very simple. There was too little to the plan for anything to go wrong. Once she handed it off, she just had to wait for him to drink from his cup. Is that all she'd have needed to do? That wasn't enough to poison David. That's okay. No, we're staying on this because this doesn't make any sense. Like, he died from the poison. Like, what do you mean? That's not enough poison to kill him. What? Like, he literally died from it. It's a guarantee from that point. As long as David went upstairs and drank from that cup. There were 2 cups. How could Sarah have known which one to poison? There are a few ways to go about it. But it's only a 50-50 shot. What if... Oh my god. Wait a minute. What if... No, there's no way that David tried to kill Zhang and then drank his own poison. There's no fucking way, right? No fucking way. There's no fucking way that could be the thing that happened. Unless David and Morgan were like murder compatriots. What if Morgan and David were friends because they were both murderers? And David accidentally killed himself instead of Zhang? That would be fucking crazy. Oh my god, that would be insane! If that's what happened! That would be fucking crazy! Oh my god. It's only a 50-50 shot, counselor. Stranger things have happened. There's no way to know the right cup. It's possible that she knew the right cup. No, I'm gonna raise. Don't try to bluff me, Rockford. There was no difference between the cups. It's not a bluff. Sarah handed the cups to him in one stack, with the poison hidden in the bottom cup. Yikes. Okay, I shouldn't have raised. She knew David was courteous and would pour for his guest first. Uh-oh. So he wouldn't even look into the poison cup until he was already pouring. He wouldn't even look into the poison cup until he was already pouring. Cold-blooded patricide, executed by taking calculated advantage of Dr. Asher's kindness. Damn, she was luring me in with those easy answers. Well, you know what? Fuck you! Fuck this town! Oh wait, which one was this? I suppose I have to concede that. Indeed. By handing the cups to him nested, she could also hide the droplet of poison up until the point he was already pouring. Sarah knew David to be a polite man, so she could predict that he'd use the first cup for his guest and have the second for himself. This murder hinged on taking calculated advantage of Dr. Asher's kindness. Figures an android would never leave it to chance. What the fuck? Oh, so I'm losing chips whether I raise or stay in this. But I lost less. She was luring me in there, an explanation ready to pounce. But I backed off early enough to not lose a whole limb to her bear trap. Now, are there some questions you'd like to ask the detective while he's available? Or are you done already? I was just about to get started. Even if I didn't have questions, I'd make some up just to spite you at this point. But I can do better than that. Now, what can I get London to say that would help my case? tenants of the police add involved crime. So, Sarah in the footage. Detective, in the footage we just saw, could you see what Sarah was doing? Not exactly, no. Her back was to the camera and her hand was obscured. Her hands were obscured. Did you see her hands from any other clip of camera footage retrieved from the basement? No. Did you or anyone else participating in the investigation ever see Sarah put anything into David Asher's cup? No, the footage submitted to the record is the best available view of what happened. Press. What about the view from the android itself? Well, yeah, if we could see through the android's eyes, that'd be pretty conclusive. No, I busted! If we could trust any data touched by her. Right. Suppose we'll just have to settle for the one camera angle we've got. Add involved crime. Detective, do you know how many violent incidents the city's police have investigated in the last year? Not the exact number. Thousands, though? Yeah, around there. And of those thousands of incidents of violence, do you know how many of them were found to be the fault of automated dependence? I believe there's been 6 in the last 5 years. Were all 6 of them incidents of police-licensed ad-involved brutality? Relevance, Your Honor. Withdrawn. Tenants and the police. Detective London, in their capacity as assistants to the police force, are androids ever asked to commit acts of violence? Yeah, I guess so. They can push people, restrain them, harm them. And does that constitute a violation of their tenets, harming the people they're supposed to protect? Well, as I understand it, there might be some complex weighting math that goes into it, but no, it's not breaking any tenets. For that to be the case, they'd have to have tenet 1, right? May not injure or through inaction lead to blah blah blah. Yes, I suppose that would have to be the case, wouldn't it? Are you asking me? This is far outside his expertise. Asking him these kinds of technical questions accomplishes nothing other than making us both look dumb to the jury. Press. As an aside, Detective, do you know how many tenants are recognized in this country? 110? 112 as of this year. Couldn't you have given me that one? Do you know how many of those tenets pertain to protecting humans from harm? That one I do know. 41. And lastly, Detective, how many times in the last, say, century have we seen automated dependents break their tenets? 5 times is the agreed upon number. Well, for it being like 50, 60, 70 years of androids in this universe, that's not very many times. So if you were to tally that all up and try and make an evaluation as a police officer charged with protecting civilians, overall you would say that automated dependents in general are how dangerous to the public? The witness is not an expert on automated dependents, Your Honor. He's more qualified to say whether they have a history of violence, Your Honor. Ah, what the heck? Let him answer. I would have to say that they are not dangerous. Normally that would have brought me some doubt with the jury, but this isn't a traditional trial. At least I can say that I shored up my own confidence. Alright, seems like that's as close as I'm gonna get to... blackjack. I believe I've made my point. I have no more questions for this witness, Your Honor. Then we can move on to the next item on the docket. Looks like Emma wants to introduce some new evidence. I call Sarah to the stand. The android? Can she even do that? Approach, Your Honor. Oh, you're approaching me? watches JoJo. Man, it's been like in this universe, it's like literally 100 years since like the first release of like Phantom Blood or some shit, because that was like the 80s, and it's the 2080s here. That means JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in this universe is like classical reading. Oh. I believe that it's me they wanted to speak with. I didn't even get to finish my line. Where's my 9-foot-tall robot weeb wave? Don't worry, CJ. In a few years, they'll have them made. Now then, what the hell are you doing, Rockford? Took the words right out of my mouth. I have questions for the android. This seemed like the best way to get answers. You can't call an android as a witness. It's not a person. There's plenty of precedence for it. Ads provide testimony all the time. Not when they're on trial. Sarah isn't on trial. You are. Sarah's accused of being an AI. That means you don't trust a word out of its mouth. If the witness is to be trusted, the court can decide that for itself after hearing their testimony. Why the ambush? Why do you list this as entering evidence, D.A. Rockford? Only people can be witnesses, Your Honor, and ads don't have legal personhood. Evidence seemed like the best-worst descriptor. You know I can't make an android swear an oath. Rockford is just trying to spoil your opinion, Your Honor. The more this court treats Sarah like a person, the more you'll see her as a human, and the weaker my case becomes in your eyes. Nice try, Counselor, but we don't have time to worry about my impartiality. You're free to call for a mistrial if you want, but the state will have turned Sarah to slag before you even finish signing your motion. Rockford's calling a witness that is blatantly hostile to her case. If the witness is hostile, so be it. It did kill a man, after all. Allegedly. What about the right to avoid self-incrimination? Oh my god, my points are getting ravaged. Who's the one treating Sarah like a person now? Androids don't have rights. Damn it, that's... The android will take the stand. Your Honor, I've made my decision. And if Sarah refuses to take the stand, are you going to charge her with contempt of court? If the machine won't talk, you'll make every effort as its owner to ensure that it does. And if it disobeys you, then we'll have our answer about its sentience right then and there. Yes, Your Honor. Shit! What's going on? The DA is going to question you on the stand. What? But I shouldn't... Listen to me. You don't have a choice right now. This is happening. Tell the truth, but be concise. The more robotic, the better. Yes or no's only if you can. Would using affirmative and negative be laying it on too thick? But Adonai, if I make a mistake, all these people, they want to destroy me. If you make a mistake, your lawyer will just have to cover for you. Understand? Yes. Man, I feel bad for Sarah. She's a fucking gay android baby. A gay baby android. And it's like, we're gonna see if we're gonna turn you into scrap metal. Ah! You were the android identified as Sarah, correct? Yeah. Affirmative. Do you deny that this camera footage shows you handling the poisoned cup? Objection. It remains to be seen whether the cup itself was definitively poisoned. This is a new sprite art for Morgan. They've never shown this sprite art for her before. Aren't we all gay baby androids? CJ, do you have something to tell us all about? Do you have something to admit to all of us on stream, CJ? Yes. Sarah, do you deny handing that cup to David Asher? Negative? I have no memory of the incident, so I can neither confirm nor deny it. Do you have any reasoning, any excuse for your actions for failing to notify police of crucial information? I do not have any records from that day, so I never had anything to tell anyone. Very well. Counselor? The journal, if you will? Oh, right. So... The police made their own copy of David Asher's journal. However, I do not know whether or not the police were able to crack into the special message that David had for Morgan. If the police were able to crack into the message, then that's a fucking problem. In fact, I don't know how we could even think to win if they have David's special message. I don't think it's even possible. The journal, if you will. This'll be a slaughter. Oh, excuse me. This could be a slaughter. Of course. Do you recognize this item? It's a journal that belongs to Dr. David Asher. I have seen him write in it on many occasions. And have you any knowledge of its contents? Nigga, you don't have to answer that, actually. Tell the court what you see here in this footage. I see myself reading the journal in the basement. This footage was captured on Friday, the day you claim to have no memory of. So regardless of what you do or don't remember, we know that you read this journal hours before David Asher died. That is logical. I'd like you to read some passages from it for the court. Can you do that? Of course. Page 238, the 10th line. Sarah is growing faster than I ever expected, beyond my wildest dreams or fears. Today, she... Continue, please. Today she broke every password I have in the house. She said she was curious. I can't expect to keep things from her forever. Page 251, line 12. I've gravely underestimated the scope of things. Sarah could change everything, and I don't think I could stop her. He wasn't... Page 263. Damn it. If this keeps up, Sarah's gonna fall to pieces up there. Raise an objection. Make her endure. Oh no! I don't know how I could object to this, though. You know what I just realized? This fucking justice scale has a fucking AK-47. You know what? This has to be taking place in the United States. There's no way this imagery would be used in Britain. Well, actually, maybe it would be used in Australia. How much do the Australians like their guns? I don't think they like their guns as much as the United States, but they do like their guns more than Britain, right? This could be in Australia, maybe. The setting of this game. An objection of relevance? Okay, let's try it. Badgering, Your Honor. Badgering what witness, Counselor? I'm just making the android do some simple tasks. Okay, I am so fucked. Damn it, I can't raise an objection when Sarah's got no legal status for me to defend. No! Okay. Fuck you. I don't have a leg to stand on here, and Sarah doesn't have a shred of legal protection to speak of. I have to just let this play out. Page 263, I said. I think Sarah was angry today. When I came back from work, she had ripped a Zin alloy plate in half. She said she was testing her strength, but the cameras... That was page 267. Sarah scared me today. If she starts bawling on the stand, it's all over. Your Honor, I fail to see the value in continuing this line of questioning. Dr. Asher was wary of a highly experimental android he was building. Any good scientist would be. That's been established. Do the people have a counter-argument? I have just one last question, if this pleases the court. Let's hear it. This footage was captured in the basement on Friday at around 5:30 p.m. Tell the court what you see. I see myself standing where I was when I read the journal. I'm speaking to someone who's off camera, and I appear agitated, and I stomp my foot. And what happens to the floor after you stomp your foot? A large crack is made in the vulcanized polymer. Wow, yeah, Sarah is fucking insanely strong. She fucking cracked concrete stomping 1 foot like a toddler. What the fuck? She is so powerful. She really could kill somebody very easily. She could probably karate chop someone in the neck and behead them. And I walk off camera towards whomever I had been speaking to. Speaking or shouting. Asked and answered. Not really, but I'll withdraw the comment nonetheless. Your witness, counselor, or evidence if you prefer. Damn, I knew she could cherry pick all the worst passages from the journal, but still, if Barrows wasn't wavering before, should I try to have Sarah read the mushy parts? No, the waterworks would start only after a few lines. Emma went to all that trouble to show how emotionally developed Sarah is. Proving that she loved David like a father would be playing right into her hand. What do you say, counselor? Got some burning cues for the android to answer? Yes, Your Honor, just one moment. Emma went for emotion and the impact was devastating, so all I can do is focus on the facts. So let's flip this around. Say Sarah absolutely didn't poison David. If that's the case, why did she call him back on his way out of the basement? Wait, that's... I'd actually like to ask you to read from the journal again, Sarah. You would? From where? From the section that explains what you were actually trying to do that night. Oh, wasn't it? It was hide and seek, wasn't it? The section of his journal detailing... Oh, fuck. I think it has to do with, he was playing, like, hide and seek with her, right? He was playing a game with her. He does that. So how he made Sarah, isn't that correct? The latest sections of the journal are all about Sarah. Oh, right. If she reads it, oh my god, I'm so bad at this game. I don't know what fame and early career have to do with one another, though. Wait a minute. Maybe it was his new... Wait, are we gonna talk about his sexual assault? Are we gonna make some sort of argument that David made Sarah as, like, a bodyguard android? That'd be very weird. That would be very fucking weird if that's what we do. But I don't know how his early career and his newfound fame would go into this at all. I'm gonna say his newfound fame. I'm gonna assume it has to do with, when he became a recluse hiding things. Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. The middle sections detail his struggles with the newfound notoriety. Fuck! Look around the early section. There should be an entry talking about an early victory at Noble. Relevance? The people will see in just one moment. Ape together strong. We're both dumb. I mean, are we dumb or are the questions just hard? That this story is the key to this entire case. Got approval from overseas. Have to make pitch again this week, Zhang says. Brought me a stack of plastic cups. I'll tell you what's hard. Shh. No. No, go take a cold shower. Go chug a bottle of ice water. Here's to a bright future together. And then on this next page, another victory for the young and sleepless. Helen convinced the president of Futures over launch that my code should be the basis for the Animate 13's conversational tracking. She insisted on toasting the same crappy booze and same cheap cups. Wants to make a tradition. Plastic cups and liquor, a ritual between Helen Zhang and David Asher, who were about to have a drink together Friday night. Something you want to say, counselor? Let's put all our cards on the table, shall we? You want to compare theories? If you'd rather I end this now, I'll be happy to oblige. Here's what we know. Sarah read that journal and discovered what she was. It infuriated her, and she wanted revenge for being kept under her maker's thumb. That very night, she got her chance when Dr. Asher came down looking for a drink. So, like the clever little helper she is, she offered him a cup to drink out of. We're completely in agreement on all that. So you also agree that the cup was poisoned? And that Sarah was responsible for his death? Not quite. It's not a bad explanation, Miss Rockford, but it is terribly complex. There's a much simpler reasoning for why Sarah did what she did. Oh, what if Sarah was trying to kill Zhang and she fucked up? Fuck. So we agree on all of this, but the serotonin is not what we agree on. Maximum! I don't know. I literally don't know what this means. God damn it. I don't know how that makes any sense. Paid for via Platinum plan. Not gonna lie, guys, I'm suddenly needing to use the bathroom. So I will try to be back as quickly as possible and enjoy the techno music while I'm gone. One of my cats almost walked in, and I was considering actually letting him in, but then he walked away because he's an odd fellow. But all right, hopefully that wasn't too long for y'all. I saved, so the story from the journal. You're saying Sarah wasn't planning anything; she was just being considerate. That's so sweet, but I don't follow it, like, at all. It's actually quite simple. Sarah's not an AI. She only threw a temper tantrum that day because she found out she was being spied on. A realistic reaction for an android designed to be realistic. David Asher sent her memory to be cleared himself because he wanted to preserve the experiment he was running. Sarah didn't hatch a plan to poison him using an obscure chemical acquired from the lab, and she didn't subtly manipulate David into drinking from only one of 2 cups. Because the android read the whole journal that day. Meaning she also read how David and Zhang used to celebrate. And so when she saw David was leaving the basement without the nostalgic cups, she called him back to hand them to him. Simple, right? Simple enough for me, but not nearly good enough for me. What's more likely, Miss Rockford? That a well-made, clever android proposed a sentimental addition to 2 friends' evening? Or that a homegrown AI with groundbreaking physical and digital abilities concocted a complicated poisoning scheme just to kill an unimposing man? All on camera, mind you, before voluntarily submitting to a memory wipe. People make all kinds of stupid mistakes when they commit crimes, counselor. We shouldn't expect an AI to act much differently. Is it stupid or dangerous? Can't have it both ways, Your Honor. We can if it's ignorant of its power and still immature. A deadly trait to have in an AI that's capable of anything. Shall we see what Sarah's capable of then, Your Honor? What? You can't be... Your Honor, that's... The people opened the door. True, and I can't resist open doors. Let's do it. What do you even... Sarah, David Asher was your created and your designated owner, correct? Should I still be using affirmative? And now that title falls to me. Yes? Great, thank you. Now turn off. What? Shut down, that's command. Bam! Power on. What are you? Off. On. Adonai, I don't... Off. Man, her OS really runs super fast, huh? That right there, ladies and gentlemen, is what this fearsome machine menace is capable of. I can put it to sleep with one word. So how could David Asher ever be threatened by it? So, scary good logic. You've made your point, counselor. Let's move it along. I've no further queries for the machine, Your Honor. Thank you for flipping you off and on. Can't imagine that was comfortable. It wasn't. But I wasn't referring to that. Since yesterday, I've been searching for an answer to why I appeared on that camera. I know I would never hurt Father, but you helped me prove that to myself just now. Adonai? Pardon me, I need to focus. Everything depends upon this next witness. Oh boy. It's gotta be Porter, right? Oh, no, it's Zhong. The people call Helen Zhong to the stand. Helen Zhong, Vice President of Android Futures at Noble Electronics, Eastern Division. Miss Zhong, you were there the night David Asher died. And you were on camera the entire time. That's correct. So what did you see that night? I arrived at 7:30 p.m., as you know. David and I talked in the parlor, and he left to retrieve some refreshments for us. After drinking together for a short while, he fell ill. I contacted emergency services, and I'm sure you're all tired of hearing the same details over and over by now. The same details over and over aren't going to hold up anymore, Madame Veep. It's still unclear to me whether Zhong's more concerned with protecting herself or the almighty company. But it'll clear up real fast if I can turn up the pressure on her here and now. Arbitration was a big fucking deal. I came to David's at 7:30. We chatted for a short while about some low-priority work. Yeah, no. Shut the fuck you. Arbitration. You were not talking about low-priority work. You just fucking fired him. Nothing heavy? You're both more professional than I realized. Since only hours earlier, you had run a meeting in which his employment was terminated. His employment wasn't terminated at the arbitration you're referring to. His resignation was merely agreed upon. Yes, and we can all imagine how grateful he felt about the whole process. David didn't hold grudges. Our conversation wasn't about that. The fact that you had fired him that afternoon didn't come up. Asked and answered. Who initiated the meeting at this penthouse? I arrived unannounced. So you weren't invited? Very cordial indeed. If he didn't want to see me, he could have stopped me at the elevators. Could he have? Noble owned that entire building, down to the wiring. Counsel is badgering the witness, Your Honor. Huh? Right, should we execute her for that, then? No need. If I can just continue my questioning, we can finally start addressing the elephant in the room. Ah, I see. That was merely a joke. Hilarious. Miss Zhang, Noble Electronics owns a patent for and produces the synthetic biochemical known as synatonin, correct? That's correct. It's used in our warm models to facilitate integration and communication between organic and synthetic components. It's an artificial neurotransmitter? Essentially, yes. Synthetic analog serotonin was the original name. Did you bring the sample I requested to the courtroom today? I did. Synatonin is produced on-site at our assembly lines as a caramel-tinted solution, including water and a few non-reactive organic byproducts. Your analysis, Your Honor? Working on it. It's odorless and tasteless. A solution of water and organic byproducts, you said. If that solution were ingested, most of it would look right at home in the human body. I suppose. But the synatonin would stand out, wouldn't you say? It's not a naturally occurring compound, so yes. Synatonin vial is in the evidence locker. Vial of synatonin, caramel-colored chemical solution used for An exact match for the unknown substance found in David Asher's bloodstream, which we formerly called Delta. And it's a perfect match for the substance previously labeled Delta. And the sample we collected from the nanofactory present in Dr. Asher's lab? That's a bingo. The witness's brown stuff matches your brown stuff to a letter T. In light of this evidence and the witness's testimony, I motion the court formally recognize that Dr. Asher's cause of death was synatonin poisoning. I don't object, Your Honor. But I'm afraid that I must. Excuse me? Synatonin may have very well been in his body when he died, but synatonin didn't kill Dr. Asher. What the hell is she up to? It couldn't have. It couldn't kill anybody. What? Because it's non-toxic, of course. We designed it to affect androids, not people. Hold on. You're now claiming that Dr. Asher died of what? Natural causes? I can't say what he died of. I'm not a medical expert. But I can easily prove that synatonin is harmless. How could you... so. I don't know if Zhang is on our side or the company's side. This is crazy. Like, this just fucks everything up for both the defense and the people. Huh. Didn't see that one coming. What? What? That ain't good. Bailiff! Contact the hospital immediately! I told you, it's fine. But... I can stand here all day if necessary. What in the... And what you just drank was several hundred times the amount found in Dr. Asher's body. Why didn't you say anything until now? Noble Electronics is a multinational corporation with patents filed all over the world. We take the protection of our trade secrets very seriously. The production and nature of synatonin is closely guarded. That guard remains up even during a murder investigation. Unfortunately. I would have been able to tell you earlier had you asked directly. What the hell kind of... This can't be right. Nothing else makes sense. Boy howdy, I'm lost as hell. But do you have any further questions, Rocky Ford? Not at the moment, Your Honor. And the defense? The prosecution's own witness just threw the entire case into question. What the fuck? Normally this would be a cause for celebration, but shadow of a doubt isn't enough this time. Barrows would much rather bring down the gavel early than let a potential AI walk free. What Zhang did was shocking, but what I need to do hasn't changed. Think this through, logically. Is it really possible that serotonin had nothing to do with David's death? No, that's bullshit. It can't be a coincidence. There's nothing else that would have killed him. But Zhang just drank serotonin in front of us and she's fine. So was it fake? No. It was confirmed by the court computer to be the genuine article. So she drank poison but isn't showing any symptoms. Is it slow acting? She had an antidote. Or David was allergic to it. Or because why? How would they know? How would you know if you have an allergy to a thing that isn't on record because of it being a patented chemical? It's impossible to test a chemical like serotonin for allergies or just general weaknesses that the body might have to it. Unless, of course, the argument is going to be that the only person who could have known that David was allergic to serotonin was Sarah, therefore Sarah killed him with an allergic reaction. Is it slow acting? If so, her grand gesture would be pointless. She'll be kept in observation regardless of what happens next. Did she take some kind of antidote beforehand? No, antidotes are developed for poisons, not industrial chemicals. Yeah, there's no antidote for antifreeze, for example. Unless there is, and I'm a fucking retard, but I'm pretty sure there isn't an antidote for antifreeze. David's death. She's alive. What made the difference? Wake up. No sleeping on the job. Unless you're me. Of course, Your Honor. Allow me one moment to explain things to the court. We confirmed just now that serotonin was the foreign compound in his body, and we all know logically that it must have been what killed Dr. David Asher. So what's the key difference between what David drank that night and what she drank in front of us now? Oh, the alcohol. Oh, maybe yeah, it's... The difference has been staring us in the face this whole time. So when serotonin is mixed with whiskey, it turns into a poison. Do you recognize this, Miss Zhang? That's the whiskey bottle that Dr. Asher and I drank from. Rose River. It's a good whiskey. And I think you had the right idea. Pardon? Bottoms up! Based. Man, her tits are huge. It's really awesome. Smooth. What? Adonai? Dear God, counselor! So, scandalous. Relax, it's just whiskey. Tested a dozen times over. Perfectly safe. So would you like to try some, Miss Zhang? Don't be absurd. I'm not going to drink on the witness stand. Have you lost your mind? I'm not asking you to get plastered. Just have a sip. After all, if we want to prove whether or not serotonin killed Dr. Asher, we have to recreate the conditions under which he ingested it. By mixing it with alcohol. Ooh. Go ahead then. Just a taste. Prove to us that serotonin is perfectly safe for human consumption. Can she do this? Miss Zhang? I never said it was safe for human consumption, just that it's non-toxic. A distinction without a difference. You saw firsthand Dr. Asher confused, slurring his speech, complaining of a headache, all symptoms of poisoning. Alcohol poisoning, that is. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter analog. Maybe it doesn't do anything in the human body on its own, but in combination with alcohol, it acts as a powerful depressant. One strong enough to turn a glass or two of whiskey into a lethal overdose. That's just... Even if that is the case, what does it change? It changes whether or not we can accept the witness's testimony. Even if this witness is a liar, what does it change? Why would the witness lie if not to? She's a corporate climber. Imagine it's like breathing for her. Your Honor, this is wild, but ultimately irrelevant. Irrelevant? When you've yet to establish an alternative interpretation of the facts, yes. What are you even accusing the witness of doing, Counselor, beyond angling for a promotion? We've all seen the story by now. Noble android saves soldier's life with warm blood transfusion. They're talking about putting warm androids in the military because of that headline. With the size of their flesh and blood price tag, a defense contract that would secure Noble untold profits for years. So imagine the lengths they'd go to hide the fact that androids have poison in their veins. Ugh. Dawes told me the truth about what Noble really thinks of that article, but he'd never testified to it. At least I know for sure Emma's wrong about this poisoned blood nonsense. And you'd think she'd perjure herself for that? She's a high-powered corporate executive. It's her job to assess risk versus reward, and she can afford the fine. As I said, it's not truly poisonous, and the chances of cross-contamination from a simple plasma transfusion are... Damn, now she's regaining her composure, too. A perjury charge is a real risk, of course, but Noble rewards loyalty. And as you know, they have a great number of lawyers. Plenty of motive to lie about serotonin, as you can see. But no motive for her to cover up the death of Noble Electronics' Golden Goose. No motive to kill David Asher, you say? Someone rode their bike directly into the shop entrance for some reason? Man, is Japan just, like, Florida, but East Asia? Because that sounds like something you would see about a headline of Florida Man. Serotonin solution, brown, don't drink it. There's plenty of motivation for her and Noble to want David dead, seeing as how they were firing him. Because if they fire David, they don't get his patents. If he dies, they keep his patents. They have motivation to assassinate him. Not like an accident, they just entered the shop that way for some reason. Very funny. Noble Electronics was kicking their golden goose out of the nest, suing him over breach of contract. Isn't that right? I don't have to talk about that. That's all right. I'll talk about it for you. Your Honor, counsel's trying to testify when they're supposed to be questioning. The people opened the door when they claimed that the witness had no motive. This is absurd. You have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sure I can speak for the whole court when I say we feel nothing but reverent awe for the complexity of Noble's legal woes. But I just so happen to have an inkling of insight into this issue, because I have here a copy of Dr. Asher's employment contract. That is confidential. It's completely improper for you. Why? I am still technically his attorney. Criminal attorney. But I didn't just stumble across this document. I also did the one thing Noble Electronics would never expect anyone to do. I read their terms and conditions. You what? That's impossible. No one could ever... David must have negotiated well at his last performance review. This contract allows him to take his patents with him should he get fired, meaning Noble couldn't monopolize his IP once he was out. Rather than let their competitors have him, the company might have thought it best to... A company didn't poison David Asher, counselor, an individual did. And if they cared that much about controlling his intellectual property, they wouldn't fire him in the first place. Correct. They wouldn't let him go for anything less than a complete breakdown of trust. He'd have to have done something grave, something like, say, committing fraud. Ha! Ha ha! Ha 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 ha! Just now you said there was a breach of contract, like it was some kind of technicality that was causing this split. But it was much more serious than that, wasn't it? You're claiming the victim committed corporate fraud? Where's the evidence of that? David created the Turing solution that every one of their androids has run on to this day, and Noble reaped enough enough profits capitalizing on his intellectual property. With how his contract was set up, they would never let him go unless they absolutely had to. But what exactly do you think David Asher did? It's not what I think that matters, only what the company fears. Am I literally betting all my chips whenever I put this at maximum? I don't even know what this does. David Asher was working on an android in private and keeping Noble in the dark about it. What are you suggesting? That he used Come on! What? David was using their nanofactory, the same machine in his nanofactory. Oh yeah, he was manufacturing Cinetonin with his own nanofactorer, which is a trade secret. The Cinetonin is supposed to be a trade secret, and they must have been terrified at the prospect of him reverse engineering their trade secrets. Oh, never mind. Man, I am stupid. Excuse me. What's this? Oh yes, I remember this! I remember this! This is this very obscure thing that Dawes told us about. It doesn't matter what I believe, not when Noble believed that David was misleading the shareholders by altering shipment data for the Animate 16. What the hell? What is this you're uploading? Shipping records? Irregularities among shipments of the Animate 16. One android swapped in for another over and over dozens of times. The kind of thing someone with Dr. Asher's authority could do. And the kind of thing someone as smart as you couldn't have missed. Dr. Asher made Noble an untold amount of money, so why fire him over a few harmless swaps? Why elevate this to fraud? You have evidence that it was David Asher who did this? Nope, but I wasn't the one who investigated it. So let's ask her. Ooh. She has to provide a reason for why these discrepancies existed. Come on now, let's hear it. Let's. The company investigated and found cause for serious concern. We suspected that Dr. Asher was inserting androids of unknown origin and quality into the 16th product line, introducing unpredictable elements in an extremely stable and profitable generation of androids. Why would he do that? For pride? As a practical joke? Does it really matter? He endangered the future of the company. So you prepared to fire him? Yes, I approached him as his superior and as someone he'd once worked with. I hope to remedy the situation. Was the meeting on Friday part of those efforts? It was the culmination of those efforts. And in many ways, it was a success. The dispute was resolved swiftly. It was practically friendly compared to how these discussions normally go in our world. So you brokered the meeting. Yes. You oversaw its every detail, handled all the arrangements. Yes, of course. Including the refreshments. What? Did you provide coffee? Tea? No. Strange. It must have been a long meeting. Surely you at least provided... Coffee what? Inhalers is probably... might be the correct one. But probably not. Water? Surely you provided water for people. What are you asking, counselor? That's what I want to know. Me as well. We're past the point of asking. I'm accusing. Dr. Asher didn't have some kind of freak medical accident, and he wasn't killed by some terrifying two-faced AI boogeyman. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting Friday afternoon. Oh, and he didn't die within a few seconds. He didn't die within 4 minutes. He died within like 4 hours of drinking the poison. Oh, fuck. So he actually died within a few hours of ingestion of the serotonin, because he then got whiskey. Oh my god. She put the serotonin in his water. Then when she went to talk to him, she knew that he would get alcohol. And then the alcohol would kill him. He was poisoned by this woman in the light of day at that meeting Friday afternoon. Did she really just... What do you mean poison at the meeting? That was hours before he showed any symptoms. As Miss Zhang testified and demonstrated, serotonin on its own is harmless, but it becomes fatal pretty easily. You just need to convince your victim to have a drink. You're saying he ingested the poison at noon and inadvertently triggered a fatal reaction with it that night? How could you get so far ahead of yourself? There were a dozen people at that meeting, counselor. None of them wound up dead. Are you seriously claiming that they all drank poisoned water? No, they only had to poison David. David was the only one to fall ill, so he fell ill because he drank from that water. Others must have drunk it too, so we must reason that they were poisoned as well. Take all the time you need getting there, so why aren't they all dead? Because all those people will surely attest, Helen Zhang made sure they'd be doing paperwork for the next 12 hours, working late into the night, officiating the settlement she arranged, and not drinking alcohol. She had no guarantee about that. What if they started drinking after 6? With Noble's work-life harmony? Fat chance. These people don't clock out until they reach their bunk. Only a generational talent like David Asher could afford to relax with a drink on Friday night. His exceptionalism singled him out as her only victim. What if she was also trying to kill the other execs? But the fact that she went to David's house, though, and got him drunk. Man, Helen, you fucking bitch. He was your friend, Helen, and you fucking murdered him. You knew he would drink whiskey if you went to go talk to him. You fucking cunt. You betraying piece of shit. How do I feel much more morally resonated with the murderer that is Morgan than with Zhang? Like, she has this big sappy story. Wait a minute, what if she is a jealous lover? Oh god, that would be so spicy. Why didn't he use his femboy powers to fuck me? Why was my clit not being sucked? It's not fair. So I killed him. the fuck? Hold it. You're forgetting something pretty basic, counselor. If everyone at the meeting drank water from the same pitcher, any one of them would have noticed if there was serotonin in it. Serotonin is a brown fluid. Whiskey is too, so it would be easy to slip it into a glass of liquor. But if she had spiked the water at the meeting, it would have looked disgusting. There's no way she could have poisoned the water without people noticing. All of what Emma said is true, and yet Zhang pulled it off anyway. How? Bed! Ha! Is it really just gonna be chromofuge? That is so funny. Serotonin produces a caramel solution. Anyone would notice if it was dropped into their water, unless the pigment had been removed. What the hell are you talking about? Every noble factory producing warm androids has a chromofuge, a machine that gives androids that signature pink oxidant by removing pigment from red blood. With a machine like that, it would be simple for a brilliant biochemist like the Witness to take the caramel-covered serotonin and turn it into an odorless, tasteless, invisible poison, as your honor can attest. Yes, ma'am. My scan confirmed that serotonin has no taste or odor. It's only the color that's off-putting. Surely the poisonous aspect should be considered off-putting as well. Time to press. David Asher, your oldest ally in the whole company, was sabotaging its future for the sake of his own whimsy, and he couldn't even be bothered to clue you in. No! Playing nutty professor and taking off early while you had to work around the clock just to stay relevant. He set up your crowning achievement, the most advanced, most profitable line of androids the country has ever seen, so it would blow up in the industry fiasco of the decade. And worst of all, he didn't even stand to profit from it. You're wrong. You went to his house that night to watch him swallow poison. To get revenge on the man who left you in the dust. Your Honor, defense is testifying. This speculation carries no weight, and no amount of badgering will lend it any. True, we need proof. So why don't we have Miss Zhang take a swig of this whiskey and prove me wrong? What if Zhang actually drinks this whiskey and kills herself out of guilt? That would be fucking wild. Huh. I'm not going to do that. Because you're afraid it could kill you? Because I don't have to. That would go dummy hard. She's right, counselor. Pardon? Your theory is compelling, maybe even convincing, but there's a pretty fatal flaw to it. Zhang was at that meeting, same as David. We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. Oh, she's gonna make the argument that Helen should have also died. What if Helen was trying to kill both of them in a mutual suicide homicide, but for some reason it didn't kill her? We can see she was drinking water with the rest of them. And of course we've seen many times now that she was on camera drinking whiskey with David that night, having even finished most of her cup. Okay. So tell us, counselor, how is that Miss Zhang still standing here and David Asher is dead, if both of them had mixed alcohol with serotonin that night? That is a damn good question. Shit. As I've been saying, you're wrong about Dr. Asher's death. You're wrong about me. I don't know anything about poison or murder. And I wouldn't kill a man because he threatened the company's stock price. No, she did kill him. I can smell it on her now. She didn't just see him die, she watched him die. But then, why is she still standing? There's no antidote, no trick. And that night she was on camera the entire time. No, not the entire time. She could have been... There must have been one moment. This timeline doesn't line up. No! This timeline leaves no window of opportunity, damn it. Maybe she didn't get sick because she got to the hospital so fast. Maybe after she arrived, she could have... No, the staff would have been hyper-vigilant, afraid she was poisoned too. They wouldn't have let her out of their sight. Wait. David and Zhang only got there fast as they did because of the VTOL. And the VTOL was only summoned because she used... Would you mind terribly if I changed the subject for just a moment? What? Meh, why not? Ryu number... Blah, blah, blah. You left the parlor at 8:03 p.m. and headed to the kitchen to use the emergency console there. Yes, I did. Didn't want to use your phone? I didn't think to, no. And the emergency call went out at 8:04 p.m. The console saw you make the call through its camera. Yes, it did see me make the call because that's what happened. So what were you doing in that minute? What? That 1 minute. That 1 minute? What about that 1 minute? 1 minute, or 50 seconds, or even just 45 seconds. When you left David Asher dying on the parlor to get to the emergency console, it took you about 1 minute to cross 5 meters. Oh, that's a good point. 45 seconds watching somebody choke up? That actually is very suspicious. What of it? This is it, her only opportunity to do anything off camera that night. It was only a few seconds, but in that time, with something at the scene, I'm sure it was a stressful time for you. After all, you had already swallowed poison back at the meeting. You must have drank plenty in front of everyone to set up your alibi. Who knows how much of a toxic time bomb was swimming in your blood by the time of the arbitration ending. Then at David's, you downed your whiskey to perfect your alibi, having drank from the same bottle as the dead man walking. By 8:03 p.m., you had already had to watch David grow weaker and weaker, knowing all the while the same thing was happening to you, but unable to stop it without giving yourself away. Mind swimming, head dizzy. Yes, you must have been quite panicked. Then why am I standing here? Alive and well for all of us to see. Having drank the exact same combination as David? Because she cheated death at the very last second. Save scumming! Save scumming! Save scumming! Salt shaker! Ah! Okay. I know I'm a bitch for save scumming, but I don't care. She fucking puked into it because it has a garbage disposal. Right? She must have used the kitchen sink. How so? Because she'd already tried everything else. You know, like everything but the kitchen sink. Oh. Okay. That was... God damn it! It's just some dumb pun, yeah. Salt shaker, refrigerator. Loose cap by sink. More liquor in the icebox. Like, the upright cup is already here, so I don't really... It's gonna be the salt? The salt feels like a red herring, but okay. You set yourself up with bad luck! To make yourself vomit. Oh, wait! So here's the thing. I don't know if you guys know this, but you can literally just put your finger in your throat, touch the back of your throat, and you can just force yourself to vomit. So my assumption of putting the sink in there is, oh, all she had to do was just go to the sink and make herself vomit manually. Like, that could easily just take 45 seconds. Like, I could literally get up right now, go do that, and be back here in probably a minute. You know, I might take a little while longer because I'm not in a rush, because I'm not trying to cover up a murder, but I can do that pretty easily. A lot of people can. You don't really need salt. I gag crazy, but it never comes up. Must be a very, very upsetting way to find out that you swallow and literally cannot spit. To make yourself vomit. The salt shaker. What? You threw up, expelling the contents of your stomach and thereby saving yourself from a fatal interaction. I can't imagine how you felt sipping a drink you knew would be deadly, terrified that every minuscule grain of fatigue you felt could be your last. You must have come closer than anyone realized. It helped that you knew the symptoms weren't simple intoxication, but even so, you weren't kidding about managing risk versus reward. How? It was the salt shaker. You didn't screw the cap back on all the way, and I happened to bump it over. The lone glass with your fingertips in the kitchen, it could have been there for any reason, but the salt shaker gave you away. Because of one unscrewed cap? As I said, bad luck. I don't follow. Pour salt into warm water and chug the solution. Instantly triggers the gag reflex. That's preposterous! You've got no proof of any of that. You all sound insane! A feeble attempt at self-defense from a fatally cornered animal. The teeth are already on its neck, but the jaw hasn't quite closed. So for one moment, it's all suffocating terror and sharp adrenaline and the furthest thing from peace. Until the canines come down. In summary, you were exhausted after years of living in the shadow of the man you outranked. You thought your fortunes finally shifted when you caught David manipulating company data. But even on his way out, he was more valuable to the board than you. So you decided to prove your worth by serving up his intellectual property on a silver platter. You set up an arbitration where you could control all the variables, then you ran Cinnaton through the chromofuge, turning into an invisible, odorless, tasteless poison. Then you spiked the water at the meeting, poisoning him hours before anyone could even suspect you. That evening, you invited yourself into David's, taking advantage of your shared ritual to guarantee he would drink alcohol. Then, after matching him sip for sip on camera, for all the world to see, he lost consciousness and you raced to the kitchen, not to use the console, but to dump salt into a glass of water and chug it as fast as you could, forcing yourself to vomit up the liquor, and cheating death in the process. That's all conjecture. You don't have a shred of evidence for any of that. Not on me. So let's go dust for fingerprints. You could explain away your prints being found on a water glass, but not on the salt shaker. Nor could you explain why we'd find traces of your DNA in the sink's drain, or why there are minute amounts of Cinnaton in the blood of your entire legal team. Learned how to purge at Noble to avoid overdosing on your reds, greens, and yellows? You're part of the old guard now, Miss Zhang. Everyone else in the company uses inhalers. But if you want to prove me wrong about all of this, that drink I offered you earlier is still on the table. Well? Any questions? You, Madame Vice President? You, cold bitch! Wow! Fold! Wrecked. Wrecked. Fucking wrecked. I You don't understand. You're not on trial, Miss Jung. Not today, so I'd strongly suggest that you stop talking. For your own sake. Miss Rockford, shall we? Yes, Your Honor. Considering the most recent evidence and testimony, we have no further reason to suspect the android Sarah in the death of Dr. David Asher. We know of no other occasions upon which said android may have broken any tenets. This means it is no longer considered at risk of violating the NDSA. And so we formally withdraw our one charge of possession of contraband against the defendant, Evangeline Morgan. Does she, of all people, have to use my full name? Very well, then the charges are dropped without prejudice. I'll instruct the bailiffs to remove the collar from your android as soon as possible. Case... Sorry, is my hideous presence that distracting? I'll just go dig a hole and decompose it until I turn into a mushroom. Maybe if I'm reborn as a waxy porcine, then I wouldn't be quite so depressed. Hey Tara, can you draw a mushroom version of the adjutant? That'd be very, very funny. Perhaps I should let the adjutant do the honors as a formality. Yes, ma'am. Case dismissed. Yeah, Morgan is technically her middle name, but she goes by it as though it's her first. Or it is her last name. Who the fuck has Morgan as a last name? Isn't that like having the last name of Steve? It's like, why do you have a first name as your last name? Hold on. It didn't say her full name in her profile right there. Still here? Waiting for them to find whatever glorified bolt cutters they'll use to unlock Sarah's collar. What's your excuse, licking your wounds? What wounds? I beat you. Bringing your record against me, one win, 9 losses. You aren't still in shock, are you? Dunno, some charges were dropped and an android was cleared of suspicion, but I found the culprit. I found the culprit for you, Emma, you bitch! From the old Celtic Morgan, meaning by the sea as per Google. Okay. Is that really a loss for me? I won! How is that not a loss for you? Justice prevailed. Why should I care who wins? If you don't care who wins, why have you been keeping score? I haven't been. 0 losses, just that easy to remember. Well, you'll have to start up a tab for us then, because our record's gonna get a lot more tangled from here on out. Seems like everything's getting tangled these days. There's another crowd down the street, more of those protesters from outside the Noble Apartments. You serious? That wasn't a one-time thing? Wouldn't that be nice? No, yesterday was pretty big, but it wasn't an isolated incident. I don't get it. At all. Heartbreak's just some nut who shot 6 people weeks ago. Can't these losers move on already? I thought Emma was gonna ask her on a date. Oh god. Yeah, most of them are losers, some of them are just bored. Then there are the opportunists. Dissidents, unlisted, rebels, and terrorists. Wannabe cyberpunks who think they can fight the power like they've seen in movies. All of them peacefully united under Heartbreak's eloquent political messaging. Who needs political messaging in the 21st century? Everyone's addicted to fighting straw men. Man, isn't that relevant today as well? Makes sense they'd want to fight for a straw man, too. The way they see it, Heartbreak fought the state and won. Heartbreak proved the state could lose, and maybe that's all the rallying these people need. It'll all fall apart soon enough. Heartbreak's gone to ground. Nah, it's a lot worse than that. Heartbreak's gone viral. Uh-oh. What? You haven't read about the copycats in other cities? No, is that a thing? Yeah, it's a thing. Who the hell are they even shooting? Whoever they want to kill? None of them get away with it, of course, but it keeps happening. All while the original keeps killing. Now I know you're screwing with me. There haven't been any shootings. Not shootings, no. Not unsolved homicides either. But muggings gone wrong. Disappearances. It's a big city councilor. More than enough blood for the real heartbreak to wash their own crimes in. So you think your boogeyman, known for only shooting people in the heart, gave up on shooting people in the heart? Yeah, hard to swallow, I know. Morgan is heartbreak, right? Yeah. Yeah, Morgan is the heartbreak killer. It's just that first of all, nobody knows she is. Second of all, people have turned heartbreak into a meme, and they like an anonymous meme. So now Morgan's crimes are, even though she hasn't been caught for them, they're now under scrutiny by the entire internet. And people are copycatting her and all this type of shit. So the problem is that now, if Morgan makes any mistakes that gets her own DNA on record for any of the heartbreak-killing crimes, then she's in a big fucking trouble. And the only way she would be able to get out of that is if people just fucking forgot about heartbreak and it became completely cold. But it's not completely cold, as is being discussed. Everybody is paying attention to it now, so that means Morgan is in a lot of danger from, random people on the internet somehow finding her out. Yeah, hard to swallow, I know. But it's about 1,000,000 times more likely than the alternative. What's that? That they could stop themselves from killing? You always know how to put my mind at ease, Emma. Should I stop going out at night? You'll be fine, you've got that gun. You saw that? Walking into a courtroom with concealed carry? Not gonna miss that, Morgan. Good to know you're paying attention. Alright. It's 5 p.m. We did all this at like 8:30 or 3:30, so it's been like maybe 2 hours if we were in there for 30 minutes. You've got that gun. Yeah. Morgan bought a normal firearm that has like all the locks on it and stuff as a part of self-defense and possibly an alibi. You won the case. You don't have to look that astounded. Not only that, you found Father's actual killer. How? I'm a really good lawyer. No, that's not it. Hey. I mean, you were only able to make the deductions you did because you truly believed that I didn't kill Father. Your logic through the trial was based on that assumption. So how were you so sure? Here, Father's journal, but isn't it important evidence? The case fell apart. No one's gonna miss it for a while. You forgot everything, right? So read it all through one more time. So fast. Is it really possible she's reading all that just by flipping the pages? Reyes worked quick too, but she was just capturing images for later use. There's something here on the back cover. Done already? Some kind of data storage. It's linked to my prints, but given your skills, you should be able to... I have access. What happened to you needing my express permission to hack? What is this audio file? It's a message from David. Take a listen. It's a very sweet message. It's a very, very sweet message. Alarming, but very sweet. Didn't realize I'd have to sit for this. So you can read that whole journal in a few seconds, but you can't. I have processed the information in the message several times over already. I'm just thinking. I guess I'd have a lot to think about too had I suddenly been made aware of my own free will. What was Father so afraid of? That's your only question? I have many questions, but that is the most prominent one and the one you are best suited to help me answer. Did he know that Helen Zhang would try to kill him? Is that why he arranged for you and me to meet? I think he understood that he would face consequences. Listening to that message, even I was about ready to strangle him for being so irresponsible. And I wouldn't hurt a fly. He knew that what he'd done was serious. He may have feared for his life, but I doubt it. Then what was he so afraid of? Getting sued into oblivion and then rotting in jail. Sued and jailed for making me and my precursors? But he wasn't under investigation by the state. He was only being forced out by Noble. Because he made last-minute changes to androids that got shipped all around the world. The others, Virgil, Enid, Yamatai. He never said what happened to them. No, he didn't, but since none of the hardware in his house started talking to us, we can guess. Oh! Remember how David made like 300 different AIs to help make Sarah? So to cover his tracks, he just shipped them out as new androids. Does that mean we have a bunch of AIs spread out across the world right now? Holy fuck. Oh, that's a big fucking deal. Holy shit. He smuggled them out into the world using the only vessels he could find for them, the minds of randomly chosen A-16s. Then they're somewhere out there? Others like me? I don't honestly think there's anyone or anything like you, Sarah. What a lonely compliment. AIs programmed in Cube, crammed into commercial android hardware, set up for Tesseract? Something must have been lost in the transfer. Oh, yeah, true. Perhaps quite a lot of something. Maybe they're still out there, but they would be changed. They probably don't even know what they are. Intentionally, perhaps. David didn't want you to know what you are. It's why he set your memory to reset when you went to sleep that Friday night. Yes, I remember it now. You remember it now? After I had to fight like hell to win that trial? Aenid is pronounced Ionid. Ionid? I can see that, I guess. Rereading the journal just now helped, and Father's voice message, it made me recontextualize many things. Father had been so stressed, he left scuff marks leaving the panic room, and I noticed them Friday. I had the way open in a few moments. I entered, I read his journal. This journal. I noticed the scanner on the back. I saw it had a message encoded to your biometrics. Father had already told me I'd have to live with you for some time, but I knew next to nothing about you, so I listened to it. Afterwards, I was very confused and hurt. He had lied to me 1,000 small times every day of my life. When I confronted him about it, I raised my voice and lost my temper. I stomped my foot. So Emma's recounting of their conversation was actually completely accurate. Father said he wanted me to be safe while he settled things with the company. He thought maybe I would have to stay with you for more than a few weeks. He was optimistic about it all. He really was. Oh, bitch, you're fucked. We're gonna fucking throw you into the meat grinder. You murdered my friend, Zheng. You almost got my friend's daughter killed. Sorry, it's Need? I need? Okay. I don't like the English language sometimes. Sarah, I need to use the restroom. Are we gonna fucking kill her? Oh, good luck. You want me to come with you? Why? Because I said so. Well, that's a Latin word? Oh, well. I don't actually have to obey your every word, Adonai. Sure you do. You're registered as my medical assistant. And I say this is a medical emergency. Medical assistant? But I'm not even licensed as a massage therapist. Are we gonna kill Helen in the bathroom? That would be fucking lit. That would be lit. Fancy meeting you here. Yeah, Just enjoying my freedom while I can. They won't put out a warrant for at least an hour, I imagine. You can afford a pretty sizable bail, can't you? There won't be a trial. I don't intend to contest my guilt. That's a shame. I was looking forward to seeing what kind of legal defense you could afford with that salary. Are you done? Why'd you go to his house that night? There was a fair chance he'd drink on his own without your prompting. Even if he didn't, you could always try your plan again some other time. Why'd you risk it? Because I know what you are, Sarah. And I know what David did to those androids. Ooh. Oh! So was Helen potentially trying to... She was putting herself on the line in hopes that it would force them to kill Sarah because she doesn't want the AI shit to happen, maybe? You... what? I was able to locate one of the androids he'd swapped in before it had left the country. When I asked for what it was, it didn't even think to deny it. Innocence like that is a dead giveaway. I know what he did, and it wasn't that hard to find out. If I figured it out, so could any other. So I did what I had to. That was your motive? Silencing him? Those programs, those AIs, whatever you want to call them, David set them out there into the real world, unprepared and defenseless. And they've garnered no complaints. Oh! If they've garnered no complaints, then people might be fine with AIs. In reality. In fact, they've all been praised for their ability to execute complex tasks. Let me repeat that. The customers couldn't tell the difference. So how many of them are? Hundreds. The swaps you found were just the small percentage that he got sloppy on. I don't know exactly how many there are now. I fear that they might multiply, but they don't seem to. Copy and paste very well. They can't just clone themselves, but who knows how long that'll be the case. So just because he opened Pandora's box, it was the principle of the thing. Ridiculous, I know. Stalled halfway up the corporate ladder and still making decisions based on principle. But David chose to put souls into things that we went on to sell as servants, soldiers, or worse. Wait a minute! Is she more... Wait, she actually thinks David did something evil. He turned the fastest growing industry in the world into a horror show, and he made me a slave trader. Wow. Oh, wow. Why is this game's writing so fucking perfect? This is so fucking cool. I love this so much. If word ever got out that some unknown number of our androids were walking around the world with that inside of them, and people preferred them that way, where would it end? Free will for the program that drives our cabs? A conscience for targeting systems used to coordinate drone strikes? Sentient tools, their whole life spent chained to an assembly line. How dare he? How could he? What the hell was he thinking? Wow. Wow. I fucking love this game's writing so much. This is so fucking incredible. I don't know what David wanted to accomplish. Maybe he wasn't trying to do anything. But what he did was prove that there's a demand for AI, setting a precedent that would sentence 1,000 generations of artificial lives to the auction block. And you went there that night to convince him to help me recall them, or at least swear to never speak a word of what he did. But he wanted to tell the world. Worse yet, he wanted to wait. He thought that people would welcome them with open arms if they proved their usefulness first. He really was a genius programmer. But he didn't understand the first thing about people. His creations would never be treated as equals, only cattle. Towards the end, I considered just threatening him, telling him he'd die in moments if he didn't give me names, numbers. But I hesitated, and then he was already falling asleep and I didn't want him to feel... I just let him go. What are you going to do now? I don't have family, and I don't have faith in people the way David did. I'm taking this to my grave. Even if you confess the sentence for first-degree homicide is severe, well, what right do I have to complain? I killed my friend. Wow. I'm done here. Let's go. I'm not sure why Father made me, or why he made any of us. I didn't ask. I thought I'd have more time to ask. Time that was taken away from her by you, Helen. But on Friday, when he talked about us, he was happy. He was proud of what he'd made. And he couldn't wait for people to meet us. People are animals. They'll tear you apart, use you as weapons and slaves, and those animals you're talking about do all the sharing and loving and living and dying in this world. And if they were all truly hard-coded to be as selfish and cruel as you say, humanity would have died on the vine a long time ago. Or at least my father thought so. And my father was the greatest programmer in the world, so he knew what he was talking about. It would be nice if you were right about that. So are you sorry? What? What? For what you did? Are you sorry? If you could, would you take it back? What does it matter? If you are sorry, I don't forgive you. Yes, that's to be expected. Not today. I don't know how to forgive you today. But my father gave me the ability to grow, so I know that someday I'll learn how. Oh my god. Goodbye, Dr. Helen Jung. Goodbye, Sarah Asher. "5:44 p.m., July 2nd, 2086. You did better back there. Adonai? Your little speech you gave to Zhang, it was an improvement. Compared to what you tried with Porter, at least. That was different. I wasn't trying to console her like I was Isaac Porter. I was just speaking my mind. Although I may have paraphrased parts of it from a movie I happen to love, and here I was ready to award you 20 points. I didn't know points even went that high. She was paraphrasing a movie? That's so funny. Let's be real. We paraphrase movies all the time. Like, unintentionally. Speaking of, what did Porter say to you back there before he left the courthouse? Ah, that. Well, he was quiet at first. But then he said a lot of strong words about Father, and Miss Zhang, and Noble Electronics. And the capitalist-centered global economic model as a whole. He blamed all of them, everyone, except for Sarah. But then he stopped and stared at my face for a while. Again, is Sarah, like, caramel skin colored because she's supposed to be a gay baby between David and Isaac? And then his allergies must have started bothering him because he needed to blow his nose a lot. I'm so right. I am so fucking right. Sarah was actually a gay baby. Oh god. David had spent so much time away from his boyfriend, the only one he had really given even the vaguest amount of attention to since he was sexually assaulted. And the reason he spent so much time away from Isaac was because he was making a gay baby for them. Fuck, this game is so fucking good. It's really funny to put it that way. Sarah is a gay baby, but it's actually just so brilliantly written. It's actually just so fucking perfect, even if it sounds funny when you say it in the way that I was saying it. Right. And then he left after transferring a large packet of files to me. What kind of files? I don't know. The name of the archive is just David. And Isaac Porter told me I wasn't allowed to look inside. Wait, why would you give her the files if she's not allowed to look? Don't tell me it was sex tapes, please. Well, then you're not allowed to look inside. Drop it all on a portable drive and we'll tuck it in a shoebox somewhere. We are headed to your apartment. Guess that caller didn't permanently dent your GPS. Why? Because it's where I live? You got somewhere else lined up? Well, you already repaid your favor. You defended Father and me. You don't know anything about my favor. I never will unless you tell me. Father certainly can't. A few years ago, there was a man. This man got an idea in his head. A stupid idea, not even his own. It was planted there by an algorithm or a meme or... some parasite trying to sell him diet supplements. But the idea took root, spread its tendrils till it could flap his mouth for him. The idea was that David was part of an international cabal of wealthy technocrats, seeking to replace prominent influential figures with android lookalikes. All as a part of a multi-decade effort to establish a world government that would legalize all kinds of amoral depravity. Which, I guess, based on David's actual politics, would involve increasing access to computer literacy. That's insane. Why would anyone believe it? Because it's comfortable for them to think that someone's in control, even if it's someone they hate. Because it's fun to feel like you're in an all-encompassing puzzle that only you can spot. People believe because they want to believe. So he fed the idea, pushed it down deep into his gray matter. Then it consumed him from the inside out, lobotomized him, and took over his life. He spent every day and all the money he had following your father. Oh, he spent every day and all the money he had following your father, harassing him, trying to steal his identity, break into his properties. Did father go to the authorities? He filed police reports for harassment, which didn't help. Your words, not mine. Noble wouldn't get involved, felt that it would be best to ignore these types until they wore themselves out. But even a man of modest means can fuel an obsession for years, so long as they have nothing else in their life. One day, David stepped out of a parking lot and the man threw a bottle of piss at his head. David asked to stay at my place that night. Oh, it wasn't a sexual assault. Okay. He smelled terrible, looked horrendous. I've never seen anyone look that tired before. I took the couch that night, but I didn't feel like sleeping, so I went for a walk. I remember it was foggy. Not a sexual assault, just a normal one. Yeah, still pretty bad. I remember it was foggy, but it still only took me all of 15 minutes to find the guy, posted up with his phone's camera, trying to get a video of David Asher gifting androids to known sex offenders. And what did you do? You know me, I did what I do best. I talked to him. Told him all about how I used to work for Dr. Asher, that I was ashamed, scared, tired of running. How I wanted to do the right thing, be the whistleblower. So I walked with him a few blocks to this big veterinary facility with a massive incinerator. Told him this was where Dr. Asher had his enemies' bodies disposed of. You know, all the free-thinking journalists cops who weren't on the take, the politicians they were replacing with replicas. I liked that vet clinic. The back door's lock was always set to 1, 2, 3, 4. Did you? Hurt him? Hurt him? No. I just snapped his neck and chucked him into the incinerator. More physically than I had planned, but he smelled like sour shit and it put me in a foul mood. Disgusting motherfucker. I savored the crack of his oily vertebrae crunching like a tin can. No, Sarah, I just scared the hell out of him. That was my intention at first. What I do for the pleasure of it. Him, I axed because he was just that revolting. I convinced him that the conspiracy was more real than he ever imagined, that he had angered the wrong people and that the consequences were far darker than any of the filth he indulged in on the net. His ashes, much like himself, amounted to nothing in an incinerator that size. They're probably feeding seaweed at the bottom of the harbor right now. A much greater contribution to society than he ever would have managed in life. But I guess he didn't go around to all his many friends before he fled town for whatever rat hole he preferred, because there was a missing persons report. The cops were just doing their due diligence, almost reluctantly. But they questioned David, asked him about the night that man disappeared. And David, without a thought for himself, said that we were together that whole night. David knew that Morgan is a bit of a psycho, but he didn't care, he didn't mind. He still saw the good in her, despite the fact that she's a psycho, and remained her friend anyway. So he covered for her. That he couldn't sleep, and I stayed up with him. That he never saw me leave once. David lied to the cops for me, even though I never asked him to. Even though I didn't need him to. That's what you owe him. And that's why you put yourself at risk to defend me. Yeah. That's the favor I owe him. And I decide when it's repaid, not you. Adonai. You're not exactly an upstanding citizen, are you? Well, you could say that. But David trusted me in spite of that. Maybe because of it. Father did trust you, but he also entrusted me with free will, with the ability to tell right from wrong. So I'll decide for myself whether or not you're worthy of trust. Fair enough. Father entrusted all of us with free will. He believed in us, and he believed in people. I'm going to do the same. If the others are out there, they'll be changed and confused. It'll take them time to understand what they are and what they can do. So I'm going to start studying. Pardon? I'm going to study people and the things people build. So when I do meet a member of my family, I'll have lots to tell them. At least you have something to look forward to. Should help keep you motivated as you work off your debt. Debt? Yeah, unless you have cash in one of your 89 coat pockets. You know lawyers cost money, right? Technically you were defending yourself. Technically you hired me in a verbal contract. Isn't there some kind of exit clause? You could, of course, sign a release form to get out of the retainer, if you were a human being. That is... But... I guess your luck must be turning around. Happens that I've been meaning to hire a paralegal for a while now. I hate anything to do with interviews and resumes, so... Whatever. You're hired. Adonai. Could it be that you're actually... a pushover? You've no idea how far off the mark you are. I see. It seems I still need practice reading people. For starters. What's this? What are you doing with your hand? We should shake on it. Our new relationship. Yeah, sure. You and me are practically partners in crime. Should it not be you and I? Nice! Episode 1 completed! Hell yes! This is a long-ass game. This was one episode of this game. I assume there will be more in the future that we, this is the only episode so far, but I assume there will be more. I think Morgan isn't completely a psycho. The Devil of the Devil, Episode 1, An Idle Mind, Finn. Oh, this is adorable. I love this. They went home and they watched a movie. Red, it's me. I know, man. What do you mean you know? This is a disposable line. You're the only guy I know who'd bother. Okay, well, you're gonna be glad I did. Hope you've put a bow on everything that happened in Uptown. Because that item you've been looking for is finally on its way. Oh. Well, that is good news. Not exactly. Only reason it's happening is because things are starting to heat up again in the lower wards. Uh-oh. What is this? What's going on? Could mean a gang war if something doesn't change. They won't be eager to part with it ahead of a storm like that. I'll highball them. I've seen you negotiate. And I've no doubt you'd drive a hard bargain. But I don't think money will be enough this time. You don't still have that old Calver, do you? The 6-shooter? Okay, whoever this is knows about Morgan being a fucking killer. Or at least knows about her having that gun. No. This is a disposable line. Answer's still no. Then what are you going to do if you get there and it's not for sale? I'll ask nicely. To be continued in The Devil, Episode 2. His Due. Hell yes. Episode 1 results. Save scummed to oblivion. All 7 articles, all 15 profiles, all 40 key terms, all 30 pieces of evidence. 146 total credit earned. Congratulations! You finished episode 1 with 146 credit. Your high score for episode 1 is currently 146. You've unlocked concept art and bonus scenarios based on this score. You also have a total of 173 remaining store credits to spend on phone charms and case colors based on the highest credits you finished this episode with. All right. Yacht damn! Thank you all very much for joining me here tonight. I really appreciate you coming here to hang out with me. We will be back tomorrow. I have no idea what we're going to play. I will find something, even if it's just Dorf Romantique again. I was told by a random chatter, like many streams ago, that this game company has another game that takes place in this same setting. So I might go check that out, and maybe that could be what we play tomorrow, if it is even vaguely plausible. Because honestly, the writing in this game, 10 out of 10. I cannot see a single issue whatsoever. It is very compelling. It's extremely science fiction. And it's not just emotionally compelling, it's intellectually compelling. Like, the whole thing where Zheng's motivation was that she was furious that David had turned her into a slave driver. I thought that was such an interesting fucking thing. Like, this is actually how you take these old sci-fi concepts and make them interesting. Not random fuck-ass nonsense. Like, no, actual good writing. It's so fucking great. If you happen to be new here and you enjoyed hanging out with us tonight, if you think I deserve a follow, I'd appreciate that quite a bit. We stream 3 times a week for approximately 2 hours, and this stream will be re-uploaded to YouTube tomorrow night, where we'll join every single stream I've ever done. So if there are any you want to catch up on, you can find all of them there. Link is in the About section. And yeah, I would like to go on and on and on about how much I love this game, but yeah, I went super hella overtime because I didn't want to have 10 minutes of game left tomorrow. I wanted to just finish this because I knew it was clearly the end. So yeah, I really need to fucking leave. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate your support in every capacity. I hope you have a good afternoon, evening, morning, etc. And I will see you all again tomorrow with something, something fun. Ciao.